Hello, this is the Spark Hunter robot from the previous note episode. We are talking about note number 15. This note says, Master Willem was right. Evolution without courage will be the ruin of our race.
Oh, snap! I actually really love this one.
Will regale me with why.
What?
Well, okay, tell us about why you love it.
No, what's the word you used? I heard gale.
Regale.
Regale.
It's like tell me this tale.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I learned a new word today. Word of the day, regale. It sounds like, like Matrix Revisited.
The Matrix regaled. It's like if you haven't seen The Matrix and someone explains it to you.
Yeah.
There'd be there's whole YouTube channels that do that. Like I found one that all it does is recap Star Wars comics. Just if you can't be bothered reading this thing, here's what happened in it.
How do you spell regale?
Regale.
Wow. So, does gale have something to do with this word?
No, it's spelled differently.
Is gale a word? G-A-L-E? Yes, it is. Oh my god. A very strong wind, a burst of sound, especially of laughter. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
You see, these podcasts are useful because they bring us lore, but also they're educational. IRL.
Yeah.
So it's my favorite note because remember how a year ago or so you used to say things that blew my mind? And I was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, recently you did the same thing with evolution without courage will be the ruin of
I thought you were
our
going to
race.
say you haven't done that for a while, but you did this at the time. So this is going to be a step back to when you were good. Before Tim Allen and the Spark Hunter robot dominated the last 3 hours of our lives.
Well, actually, yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But, you know, nicely.
No, I agree with you.
Okay, so let's start with the note. Where is it found?
It is found in the Bergenworth Lecture Hall.
And if people want to know more about Bergenworth,
there's 3 different Bergenworth podcasts, which led to someone who will remain nameless messaging me, God, Bergenworth again? You can also hear about other great Bergenworth things in the previous Note podcasts, where we talked about 2 notes that you found of Bergenworth.
And whoever can tell me what Bergenworth is really called gets 500 internet points in the comments.
What are these internet points redeemable for?
I don't know, it's going to be super cool. Ever since Richie decided that code words aren't cool, well, you know what?
I didn't decide
We're gonna have
they weren't cool.
Points.
I just was mystified by their existence.
Is this what Richie does? He just demolishes every good idea I have? First the code words, now internet points are not going to be a thing anymore?
Well, I don't... You're free to give out internet points. I'm just wondering if they lead to anything, or do you just give them out?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'll decide later.
Okay. Good.
So if you have any code words, please convert them to internet points.
Yeah, take them to your nearest exchange, money exchange. Get them converted to internet points.
The universal currency. Okay.
Yes.
Master Willem was right. And if you want to know more about Master Willem, Yeah, I don't know. Should I ask you, like, oh, Reggie, who is Master Willem?
I think people watching this know who Willem is.
Okay, but what if, let's say, you randomly Google something and stumble on this podcast and you're like lost and confused and you already don't know what's going
You
on?
would have turned it off as soon as the Spark Hunter robot introduced it.
Okay, in 140 characters or less, who's Master Willem?
Master Willem, aka Provost Willem, aka Willem Sensei, is Urimu Sensei, is the head of Bergenworth. He is a philosopher / scientist, and wants to. He's obsessed with understanding, like, what it is that makes the Great Ones superior beings, and he believes he can, like, if he understands them, rather than just trying to sort of, like, he wants to evolve humanity to another state, but he's like, before we can do this, we have to understand the Great Ones, we have to understand their anatomy, and we have to understand how they think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So Master Willem was right.
Mm.
And
Yes.
oh, okay, I'm confused because I didn't follow the timeline. I didn't follow the outline. Okay.
You've got the outline, it's on pink paper. You keep waving it in front of the microphone to remind me that you have an outline.
I got a little confused after our digression on Bergenworth. So
this whole podcast is a digression.
Okay, so what kind of medium is it written on?
It is on a piece of paper over which is, I guess, sat, although they like legs, a slime scholar. So presumably it was them what wrote it.
Okay. And can you read the note in your best slime scholar voice? And what does it say in English?
We just read it in English. It says, Master Willem was right. Evolution without courage will be the ruin of our race.
Mm-hmm. And so Master Willem was right. That's pretty self-explanatory. And so the part that I really like is evolution without courage will be the ruin of our race.
Yeah.
So when you read it in English as this, what does it make you think?
Good question. It was very confusing, the use of courage, because it made people think that it was like Willem saying, we've got to have the courage to, like, push forward and evolve. And, like, we can't just let ourselves... We can just, like, let nature take its course. We've got to, like just force ourselves through this thing and, like, take charge. Which is kind of what he is doing, but also that's not the Willem that we see in the game, because the Willem we see in the game is very cautious. And he's saying, like, no, we can't evolve yet. We have to understand the complexities of the universe before we can try this thing. And it's actually Lawrence who's the one who's like, we've got to have courage, we've got to do it now. So it gives you a different impression of Willem, because they use courage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what does it say in Japanese?
It's something like, it would be like a degraded evolution or like a deviant evolution. So the idea isn't that, like, you got to have the courage to evolve. It's like we can evolve ourselves at any time, but if we do it wrong, we will be destroyed. Like we can't risk, a degraded evolution. We can't risk like a deviant evolution. We can't risk like a failed evolution. That would destroy us. That's what it's saying. So that changes everything, because it's not Willem saying have the courage to evolve. It's them saying Willem was right, because if we try to evolve without understanding how all of this functions, without being in complete control of what we're doing, we will destroy ourselves. And I think they're probably saying that because, like, we'll come to this later, but they seem to know about, like, the healing church and everything. So they're like, we've seen what Lawrence did. That was, like, this, depraved evolution. He evolved into something that was less than human. So having seen that happen, we know that Willem was right. So we were right to follow Willem's path, even though we turned into slugs.
It's interesting how it gives it a completely different meaning.
Yeah.
And so, I guess the slug person wrote it and left it there?
Well, I'm not sure if, like, they wrote it before or after they melted.
Mm-hmm. And why did they write it?
It's confusing because, like...
Okay, yeah, go on.
Byrgenwerth, we know when it was conceived of, there was no, like, the lecture hall is in the nightmare. It was just going to be, like, the lecture hall and Willem's room were, like, just on the same area. You could walk between them. So the students of Byrgenwerth, like I talked to Lance about this, and Lance is like, oh, because it's in the nightmare, like, this is like memories of Byrgenwerth, and like maybe like Mikolash or whoever like remembers the students as monsters, and it's like it's conjured these sort of ghostly things into being. But also, like, I'm pretty sure that those like are the Byrgenwerth scholars, and they did actually turn into slime. But I don't know if that was like. We know that when it was conceived of, they would have been slime in the waking world. But, like, in whatever version of the story we have now, I don't know if they were supposed to have been slime and then the lecture hall got taken. Or maybe the lecture hall being taken is what turned them into slime.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've ended up in the nightmare, and, like, like when you go into the Hunter's Nightmare, and like, Ludwig is there and Lawrence is there. And, like, they're beasts, but they're not like beasts we've seen before. Like, Ludwig doesn't look like anything we've seen in game, and he's got, like, an extra head with all these eyes in it. And, like, Lawrence looks like a cleric beast, but also his blood is literally lava. And he can, like, crawl around when you've cut his legs off and stuff. Like, it's not... Mm-hmm. That's clearly, like, Lawrence wasn't actually, like, a lava monster. He's just ended up as one because he's in this place where reality is shifting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, like, the students, they were in the nightmare so long that they're, like... There was a note earlier that was about, like, the boundaries of humanity. That, like, because they've been in there so long, they've started to lose their sense of shape, and they've become these, like, malleable, soft things that could become, like, could change.
Hmm.
Like, because their sense of self was disappearing or something.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. It may be the same, like, process that results in the Gardens of Eisen ROM. But, like, maybe there was a massive ritual at Byrgenwerth that, like, kind of mutated everything. Hmm.
And why do you think they wrote it down?
I guess, like I was saying, like, they probably saw what happened at the Healing Church. Because this is confusing because they're like, well, the Healing Church declared Byrgenwerth forbidden ground, and, like, no one knows if they're still alive or not. But they'll be in this same building. There's evidence that they know what Lawrence was doing. So it was probably like an affirmation, like, I've studied what happened in Yharnam, and I know now that Willem was right.
Hmm.
It may even be like, as he was turning into slime, he's like, it's fine, because Willem was still right. Like, we still have the capacity to control our evolution. even if we're turning into something else now. It's like this was still the correct path, even though we ended up being destroyed.
Mm.
Yeah. That's what this person wrote in Bergenworth.
And if you want to know more about Bergenworth,
if you'd like to be aggressively told that this is clearly part of Yahagul, you can go to reddit.com and get pedantically lectured by people who don't know anything.
Okay, well, thank you, Richie. That was very informative.
It was concise too, and I think, like, that was about 10 minutes shorter than the others, but once we cut out all the the extraneous stuff, I think it's about as long as the others. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Richie. I think that's one of the more interesting notes and one of the more valuable explanations.
Yes.
Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that has struggled with this specific note for
Well, you know, it means whatever you want it to mean. It's not a story at all.